Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are, whenever you're watching this. This is Floating in Dreams, and today's video is going to be a tea time chat all about why content creators cannot always give you what you want and can't be perfect. Let's get stuck in. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. So today's video is going to be a long one, I'm pretty sure. I've got a lot of notes that I want to get through with you, where I wanted to just discuss a couple of things that I sometimes see going on either in my comments or in other creator comments, or things that I've read on like message boards or that you just see mentioned when it comes to, you know, content creators and the way they run things. So it's sort of about like managing expectations and trying to keep things fun for me as well. So this is a bit of a different video again. I don't have tea with me because I just got a glass of water because I didn't fancy tea. So cheers to that, and let's just get started with this video. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I like to come on here to chat about eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice reviews, and getting the use out of my makeup. And because I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, I deem myself a snow angel. So if you'd like to join the Snow Angel Club, then definitely click subscribe down below. You don't have to be a snow angel yourself to do that, but if you'd like to join the family, then you know where to go. So yeah, today's video concept sort of came from the discussions that I've been seeing online, either here in my own comments or from other creators who've done videos about certain topics. And it's just this thing that I'm seeing where, you know, there are so many different people watching videos, either here on YouTube or whatever platform you're you know, consuming content, that it's going to be very difficult for a single creator like myself to, you know, meet all of your expectations you might have as a viewer. So I know that very often those comments are very well meant, but I would like to sort of like also dig a little bit deeper in this video and sort of show you the back end of things, of why you as a viewer, if you're not a content creator yourself and you've never posted a video online and tried to do things, why you need to be very mindful of what you're actually saying. And also, if you are discussing this with other people who feel perhaps similarly, why the things that people seem to want also don't really work, and why I feel that content creators we can never do it right. And that's definitely something that I take into account when I create my content, that knowledge of, I just know that I will not be able to make everybody happy who watches this video, for instance. So that's why I just wanted to come on here and sort of explain some of my reasonings, but also sort of put some other perspective of it, of someone who's been doing this for more than a decade. For fun, because that's the first topic we need to talk about. These are the topics I'm gonna run in this video. I'll have chapters for each one so you can watch it in pieces, because this is going to be a long and chatty one. We have the first topic I'm going to go over with you is full-time YouTubers versus creators who are just doing it as a hobby, just to do something differently with their day, how that's a difference in content. Then I want to chat about the YouTube algorithm and why you as a viewer only see half of what's going on the back end. I want to discuss long form versus short form content, because TikTok and the influence of that is definitely a thing, but that also means that there are people here with other expectations. Then I also want to talk about diversification of content, and how what I might have intended the content to be isn't necessarily what you think it's going to be. And then I also want to talk about some of the things I see that people dislike about creators, and also what people expect creators to do and how that's not always realistic. And then I just want to round it up with a nice conclusion towards the end. So I've got lots of notes here, and let me just get started on our first topic today, which is full-time YouTube versus doing it for fun. So what I think a lot of people are forgetting when they click on videos, when they view content, is that there are people online who do this for fun, who are not career YouTubers, whose aim is not to make a living doing YouTube. And they're within the platform, there is no distinction. So when you click on a video as a viewer, you don't know whether you're watching someone who's got a 4K camera with 50,000 lights and who's got a team of editors and managers and all that behind them, or whether you're watching a one-woman show who's literally sitting on her couch, plops a camera on and talks to you because she likes to chat about makeup. So For me, this is very much a hobby and not a job. And I very often feel that a lot of the comments that can be a little bit negative come from people who don't realize that, who view every creator on this platform as being the same, but we're not the same. There are people, once you hit a certain subscriber amount on YouTube, YouTube starts sending you emails about, hey, maybe you could do this with your content. There's even people who are in touch with people from YouTube who then look at people's content to give them tips on how they can improve. If you are too small, those things aren't happening, okay? So there's just a very big difference between like really, really big YouTubers, because that's what YouTube tends to put more time and effort in, than people who are just here to have fun. So for me, definitely, I'm not here to try and do YouTube to perfection at all. I'm just here to long wind after a long day of teaching. I have no friends in my immediate circle who love makeup the way I do. So I started chatting about makeup and this is actually why I started a blog all those years ago, was to chat about the topics I couldn't chat about in my normal everyday life. Either because it was books that nobody around me was reading, or because I was listening to bands nobody else was listening to. So I definitely started off with a lot of diverse content, and I've just sort of been honing in on what I actually want to do and what content I like making best and how it works for me. It's been a very gradual, organic process, and I make mistakes, which, you know, is human as well. So that to me is also sort of like the vibe I want my channel to be. I want this channel to be a place where we can just chat about makeup like friends. And I don't want this place to be something where I just push products, or where it's like a marketing effort or whatever. I just don't want that. I want that vibe of like a friendly space where everyone is welcome to just share the love for makeup. That's there. I think one of the biggest compliments I sometimes get, at least that's the way I see it, is when people say, your channel still feels like old school YouTube. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm going for. So I'm definitely get that you like it as well. So another reason why I wanted to sort of make this video is to also talk about why I don't do certain things. I mean, I know there's a lot of things I could do to generate more views, to grow faster, to do all those things. I know exactly what it takes. I know exactly what it would take. The thing is, I don't want to. And the first reason why is because of my mental health. I don't want to do this going crazy. I just don't. I just do things the way I do them so I can keep myself also sane. That's why I don't do makeup releases every single week. That's why I don't try to talk about everything that's being released. That's why I don't put swatches in every video, because it's just too much. I can't handle that, and I actually toned down how much I talk about in new makeup releases, because I just felt I just didn't enjoy filming that myself anymore, because I was going like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. It just got so negative, and it took hours to edit the video. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm driving myself crazy trying to do this thing the way everybody else is doing it. So I decided to find something that works for me, and now I like doing that video again. So that's why I do that as well. And like I already mentioned here at the start, there's just a level of professionality that larger channels tend to have that is very difficult to achieve unless you have the time, space, and money to set up a full studio. If you don't have that, you cannot produce a lot of the content that you see a lot going on around in YouTube. I don't have that kind of space. I don't have the kind of money to hire a studio to set up that kind of space for myself. And I just think that, with the growth I have a little bit every year, I try to improve on some of the technical parts of having a channel like this, but it's definitely not my main aim. Very often you will hear people say, oh, everyone can be a creator. All you need is a phone and you just need to get started. But what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the creators that blow up overnight very often already have audiences to draw on either because they are big on another platform, maybe they already have other careers because they are a celebrity or whatever it is that's going on. Maybe they have people in their inner circle who already do this kind of thing, who they can then piggyback off of. And very often you just see that these are the people who have the time, the means to set things up right away. And if that's not you, if you literally just start in your bedroom with a camera in 2022, on YouTube, you're not going to make it very far. So there's just this overall expectation of what you're supposed to do. I remember also when I got an email from a brand a couple of years that they would only accept your collaboration if you had studio lighting. And I'm like, but I don't want to film everything with studio lighting because it affects the way things look. So people also need to realize that there's just a limitation to what I can do as one single person. I just can't do everything. I have a very specific preference, makeup taste and style that works for me, and that's where I'm coming from. And that's what I tend to also focus on. If you want to see different creative looks, this is not going to be your channel. So why would you expect me to offer those things if you know what already works for me? That's just not going to happen. So I think that the way to go about it is you need to follow as many different creators as you can so that you get a variety of content you like to watch. I don't expect you to watch every single video of mine. If you do, lovely. I love that. But you don't have to. Find different creators that can cater to your different needs. That's the way I would go about it. And another thing I want to point out here is that in case you want to do this properly, there is a very, very big expense that comes with it. I would like to refer you to a video down below that I watched from Kackie reviews makeup, beauty, I don't know. But she does a lot of review videos, and she did videos where she went over how much she spent at Sephora in a couple of months, like back to back, just to be able to run her channel and do the videos she does. And it was just from Sephora, $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month, which is insane. I don't have that kind of disposable income. My channel doesn't make enough to be able to cover that kind of cost. So that's something that, again, some people have that kind of money lying around and they can do this. I personally can't, so that's another thing you need to bear in mind when you judge people's content. And another thing that I want to just sort of state right off the bat when, you know, it comes to commenting on channels and leaving negative comments, I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, I've got pretty thick skin. I've been on the internet for 2 decades at least. I teach. I've heard it all. But I also want you to remember that when you leave a comment, make it about something that people can't change. But I also want you to remember that if you leave a comment, to think about it twice. And if your comment is going to be about something that someone cannot change very easily, that you should hold your tongue. So you're only getting one perspective here, but I've been told that I need to do something about my brows over the years, right? That I'm too ugly to review makeup. I've been told that I need to get my nails done. Like, why? Why? If they're clean, it's fine. Nobody needs to have these like overly done nails, really. I've been told actually that I have too pale legs to show off short skirts on some of my fashion videos. I've just recently, I love this one. Someone told me that I couldn't model eyeshadow because my lids weren't right. And I was like, wow, no. That's the whole point of my channel, is to show everybody that you can do makeup anyways, because there's so many people out there doing makeup. Am I perfect for showing off eyeshadow? Maybe not, but if it works on my lids, it's going to definitely work on yours. So I really, really don't get that. So please, please be very mindful of leaving certain comments, because it's just, some of it just doesn't make sense. I read that and I go like, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, I cannot change my body makeup. I just can't. I just can't. So that's, and I also, but we'll get to this, I also don't use filters and things. So what you see It's just whatever my camera picks up as I'm filming. So that's sort of like the first topic. So just be very, very careful when you click on a video and you come to it with certain expectations, that everybody on YouTube is just different and everybody goes about it in their own way, and that how they go about it definitely depends on whether they're doing this professionally or not, and that you as a viewer need to be very mindful of, hey, what are they all about? And we try to tell you in our intros what we like to do, but it definitely sometimes means that if you're only watching one video from a creator, maybe watch a couple and then make up your mind. So then I wanted to chat about an aspect that I think a lot of people who are just viewing YouTube don't always get. And that's how the YouTube algorithm, or just how YouTube works on the back end, kind of also isn't always helpful for either the creator or the viewer. So one thing you should know is that YouTube as a platform is built around creating as much hype about a certain topic as possible. So YouTube pushes views towards similar things. Yeah. So what YouTube actively does is telling you, hey, these are creators like you, and these are things they are doing that go well for them. Maybe you could do them too. That's not literally what it says, but that's sort of implied in part of the stats that you have an overview of. So if you were wondering why everybody does Vlogmas at the same time and makeup declutters at the same time, and why they film their palette collections all in December, is one, AdSense revenue is the highest, but also because YouTube just tends to favor these kind of things all being done at the same time. But here's the thing. If all of these larger creators are doing these kind of videos at the same time, and you are a smaller creator, your video will get a lot less traction because YouTube is going to favor the big ones over you. So I've seen smaller creators saying things like, oh, but I tried to do Vlogmas and I didn't really get any more money. I actually make much more money in October when it came to AdSense. And that's because your videos were getting a lot less traction because you're doing exactly the same thing as some of these more popular creators, and you're competing against that, which you're never going to win. So it's better to post your content at another time in the year. I post my declutters in the springtime for that reason, and my eyeshadow palette collection at the end of summer, because else I just know my video will get snowed under and it's just not going to get as many views. And there's sort of like a rule where your video needs to get a certain amount of views within the first 48 hours of it going up for it to sort of help your status on YouTube. If you do too many videos that do less well, YouTube will stop recommending your videos as often. And that it's sort of like this seesaw kind of motion. So if you've ever heard creators saying, oh, I'm going to stop doing this video because it doesn't do well, then it's because of that reason. So for me personally, one of the reasons, because I'm not here to do YouTube professionally, and like I'm happy that I get a little bit of money back from it by now, and that I can put that back into the channel, because that's pretty much what I'm doing. But for me, this is much more like a creative outlet, just to do something differently besides work. And that's why I don't mind it as much if I have a video there that only gets like half the views or maybe a third of the views that I normally get. That might hurt my channel. I don't really care all that much, but I do still want my videos to do mostly well. And I know a lot of people are asking for, you know, show us looks on camera and do tutorials, and I'm like, but I'm just not a tutorial kind of person. I have like literally 5 different looks I do on my eyes, and then that's like rinse and repeat over and over. So I don't do looks on camera that often because I feel I don't have much to offer there. I like trying out things, I like showing the looks I do, but how I get there in the end, like if I were to do one video about it, then you can just look that up till the end of time and we'd know. But those kind of views, those videos don't get views at all if I just do a tutorial or a get ready with me. And to be quite fair, I've done a couple of those and I just don't really enjoy doing my makeup on camera. I struggle to chat and do makeup at the same time if I'm not trying to chat about the makeup. So that's why I can do a full face of disappointing products and tell you about why these products are disappointing. But what you see a lot of creators doing now, where they do a full face of makeup while they're talking about something completely unrelated, I can't do that. That's why I do this kind of video sitting down and just chatting at you. I know that, you know, there's other channels who would do this while throwing on makeup. I can't. I really can't do that. I would just, that's a struggle bus, and I would sit here for 3 hours trying to film a video, and I don't have time for that. So I do want to get into doing some tutorial-like content, but I want to do it over on TikTok. So by the time I'm going to be launching those things, it could be a couple of weeks, but then I will let you know, and you can follow me there to hopefully start doing that a little bit more, because it seems to be more a thing on TikTok, and then I can really cut it up into short segments and like really only show how I do an eyeliner with eyeshadow and how I do everything on my deep set hooded eyes. I think I can do that over there, but here on YouTube I just don't do exciting enough things. Another thing you should know about YouTube and the algorithm a little bit is that as a viewer, you can only see half the story. There's a lot that goes on the back end of things where, you know, you can sort of see how your content sort of compares to other things, but also how your content compares to your own content over time. So YouTube kind of suggests and stimulates you doing certain things, and I try to like not do that, because then, you know, again, you get all these videos that are just the same, which I know don't make sense, but there are 3 metrics that YouTube find most important, so that's what you see most of. It's view count, impression click-through rate, which means this is how often YouTube shows the video to people, and this is how often people click on it, and then how many hours, minutes people watch your videos. But you should know that those metrics aren't there for you or for me. They're there for YouTube. Because the longer you watch and the more videos you click on, and the more views therefore there are, the more ads YouTube can show. That's the only reason. So YouTube and the algorithm start working for you if you do things that allow YouTube to keep people on the platform for as long as possible, so they can show as many ads as possible. Think about that for a minute. And the worst part of it is that this back end of YouTube is set up in a very psychologically stimulating way, where the minute your video does well, you get a green tick, and if it doesn't do very well, you get a gray arrow. So there's this really like sort of like And the last point I want to make here is that the YouTube stats that you see are not really showing growth over time, but it's all aimed at like instant gratification, you could say. So I took statistics at university, and there you learn what good statistics are, but YouTube statistics are cumulative, and they compare a period of 28 days to another period of 28 days, or a year to another year. And then the minute your views start to drop, because for instance it's summer and there are just fewer people watching YouTube videos, it starts to suggest that you need to change your content, which is absolutely bonkers. And now are people like discussing like, ooh, it's because of TikTok. No, it's not because of TikTok. It's because people are doing other things. We had a pandemic, people were stuck at home, people were watching YouTube then. Now people are going out and about, and it's much easier to scroll through TikTok while you're waiting for the bus than watching a 15-30 minute YouTube video. It just is. So there's a lot more going on than it's TikTok. What I also find very big pet peeve is that the metrics are sort of linked to certain periods in time. So if your video starts off doing terribly and then climbs up in the metrics, it doesn't count. Actually, the most popular video on this actual very channel you're watching isn't beauty related and took 2 years to take off. 2 years. So if you're a creator and you're watching this, just don't trust your stats. because videos can do a lot more over time than you had initially anticipated. This is especially true for some of the content on my blog. There are reviews and blog content that I've had up for years, sometimes 5 years or more. And all of a sudden I see it floating back up to the top of my statistics and I'm like, huh? And it could be one person looking for something very particular, but sometimes I also find that then my link has been shared on a forum somewhere, sometimes months down the line, and those things then don't really count, which it doesn't mean anything about your video doing well or not in the end. And another thing that I learned through actually another creator here on the platform is, you know, the stats and the algorithm, everything is pushing you towards creating viral content, things that are going to happen now. We need that momentum, we need the traction. But there's actually a lot of negativity that can come to you as a person if your video goes viral. And for some people, it's actually not been beneficial to them at all. So I'll leave a video down below because I saw there was this video going viral for a bit about someone who was dressing in 18th century clothing every single day for years, and she made a video on it. And she actually did a follow-up video, I think about a year later, and she was actually fired from her job because they were like, you now have a viral video. You're going to be rich. You don't need us anymore. So she was, it actually had a very negative impact. So doing what the algorithm wants you to do isn't always the best. And in that video, she also mentions how her stats are showing that the video is doing terribly, whereas it went viral. And of course, right now it's not viral anymore. So it's generating fewer views than it did a year ago. But then YouTube kind of punishes you for that. So the only thing YouTube wants to see is this over time for every video that you do all the time, which if you know anything about statistics is just not gonna happen. And I see it all the time in my videos that, you know, there's a little bit of a peak and then there's a drop and there's a peak again. That's just the nature of the game. And so you need to be very resilient and just ignore half of it. So I already mentioned TikTok a couple of times here. So I also wanted to talk here about long form and short form content. I think that there is going to be a medium for everyone at a given time, and that there's going to be an audience for everything. And right now, you see TikTok a lot, but it seems like people are now coming onto YouTube and then tell you like, you talk too much. And you're like, your video is too long. You could make the same point in half the time. And like, that's not the purpose of video. Like literally, it's just not. And I think that if you think that videos on YouTube are too long, just go over to TikTok. This is a platform made for long form content. If you're here for short, snappy things, this is not the platform. And you can exactly see how long a video is going to be. So if you know I'm going to be showing 10 lipsticks and the video is 30 minutes long, then don't watch it. If you don't want to sit through a 30-minute video showing 10 lipsticks. You really just manage your own expectations before clicking on it. And if you don't like it, just X out. You don't have to leave a comment saying like, you're way too chatty or whatever. In fact, the people who watch my videos and who leave comments and who are like part of my core, who I consider being part of my core following, you could say, love that about this channel. They say how they love that I explain every single aspect of every single lipstick in a given shade range, rather than just saying, this one is my favorite and here are the other shades, because that's what a lot of creators tend to do. There are people who look for someone who gives those explanations and who just, and then there are other people who just want the swatches and go on with their life. So in order to sort of bridge that gap, what I try to do is to, you know, when I do eyeshadow palette reviews or if I swatch a lipstick collection for you, to always have a blog post up where you can just scroll through the pictures and see the shades and see the swatches, and that's it. But I don't see merit in then shortening my YouTube video. I'm here to give the explanation. That's why I'm doing this. And that's something that YouTube greatly dislikes, because I already mentioned that YouTube wants people to stay on the platform so they can show as many ads as possible. So the longer you keep people watching your videos, the more ads you can push, the more your video is going to do well. So YouTube has this metric as well that you should try and get people to watch for at least 30 seconds. And then people usually stick around, which you can usually see a really great drop for your video performance within 30 seconds because people X out really quickly. So that's why the watch time is such an important metric here. The longer your videos, however, the more watch time you are likely to generate, because there are people who are going to watch the entire video and there are people who are going to X out. So that levels out, and that's what counts for YouTube. So that's why some people actually make pretty long videos. I don't really make long videos for that reason. The video just ends up being as long as it needs to be for me to get my thoughts out to you. What is going to happen if you want to make sure your watch times stay sort of at the same time? You either need a lot of short videos that do really well in terms of for how long people and how many people watch it, or you could make a few videos that are a little bit longer that do moderately well, and you will still get the same amount of watch time. So the outcome of the metric will still be the same. And another thing you should know is that if your video is too short, which means under 8 minutes, as a creator, you cannot run AdSense on it. So your video has to be a certain length for it to generate AdSense. And I have considered doing this in the past where, for instance, at the start or at the end of the video, I just do the section where I just have all the swatches and you know, some like close-ups or something like that at the start or at the end of the video. But I know that any person who's only interested in seeing quick swatches will leave the video after that part anyway. So it's going to hurt my metrics no matter where I do it. So it wouldn't do anything for me as a creator at all. And it would actually annoy the people who want the explanations, because then they need to sit through like 3 minutes of just swatches with no explanations before they get to the explanations, and then they get annoyed and then they will click out of the video as well. So this is what I mean with I can never please everyone, which is why I sort of just go like, okay, just go to the blog. Go to the blog. That's where you can, this is why I love blogs, okay? If I'm looking for a review on a product, which I by now no longer do because I've tried so much myself, but if I want to know whether, you know, the thoughts on a product, then I just type it into Google, find a blog, because I can scroll through things in 30 seconds and find the information I need, and I don't have to sit through a 15-minute, 30-minute video of someone talking about a lipstick. I just never understood single product reviews on YouTube. I've never watched those a lot myself. So yeah, that's why I've always stuck to doing blogs, which everybody's probably thought I was crazy because like, oh, I don't want to be referred to your blog, and I was like, it's the easiest way. It definitely is the easiest way. And now there seems to be this resurgence of blogs, and I see that in my stats that there is a lot more people clicking on my blogs as well, which I love. Now the next point I want to make, so this is sort of like a continuation of like, you know, not everybody is a professional. YouTube wants you to do certain things in order for videos to do well. That doesn't necessarily serve the viewer or the content creator. But I also wanted to talk about diversification of content. So I feel that there's a lot of people who watch videos who think every video that is done is a review. Unless my title and the thumbnail says review, I have not categorized that video as a review. And a review for me is a very different thing than just a product, like a product overview, like a top 5, bottom 5. I feel that a ranking or a top 5, bottom 5 is a very different kind of video than saying, here are my thoughts about these products and now that I've tested them out. To me, there's a different brain space that goes behind it. So I think you should be aware that not every creator does the same thing in the same way. So it harks back to that. That other creators view all of those things as reviews doesn't mean that I do. I feel that, for instance, a declutter is not a collection video. So I don't swatch and declutters, because if I were to swatch and declutters, I would keep everything. I would not be able to declutter anything. If I'm doing a top 5, bottom 5, or a ranking, I don't tend to include swatches all the time, because I feel that if you want to see those the products in detail, there's other pieces of content that I've already made. Why would I double it up? Because it doesn't entice you to watch any of my other videos. I feel there's just, in terms of content, a time and a place for everything. Not every video you make warrants a product close-up, swatches, and a full face makeup look application. To me, that's what I need in a review. But if someone is just telling me these are my 5 favorite products from the brand and these are my 5 least favorite products from the brand, I just want their thoughts and that's it. I don't want everything else. That's just me personally. And there's a reason why I don't swatch everything in every single video I do. I have a couple of reasons here. First of all, you need to realize that swatches are not a good indication of product quality. This goes for any product you can find. If I swatch a lipstick on the back of my hand, it looks differently than when I put it on my lips. Which is why if I review lipsticks, I always put them on my lips for you because they just look very differently. Because the back of your hand is just a different texture than your lip skin or your face skin or your eyelid, and with eyeshadow, whether you use it a brush, what kind of brush you use is going to skew the way the product looks. So that's why swatches can be useful if you just want to see what the shade is like. It's not very useful to know how the product is going to perform. It just isn't. I already mentioned this a little bit before, but I already have swatches and looks in every single product review, and there are a ton. I have reviewed over 300 eyeshadow palettes on my blog as single standalone reviews, and that's without the 10 palette reviews that I have already been doing for the past 2 years. So those are all clearly labeled. You can use the search bar on my blog or on my channel and you can find it very easily. It's already there for you to find, so why do you expect me to also put it in another video? And swatching for every single video is something I personally find incredibly wasteful. It's waste of good product. I'd hit pan just from swatching if I were to put swatches in every single video I do. I would run the risk of ruining a perfectly fine product because every single time you put your finger in an eyeshadow pan, you have the oils there, even if you clean your hands, and the chances of getting hard pan would just increase. There are a couple of creators on here that I suspect have hit pan on shadows just from how many times they've been swatching it and not because they've used it so many times. So my recommendation to you, and this may sound a little harsh, don't be a lazy viewer. Put in a little bit of effort, because if you are lazy, that's something that people can take advantage of. It's you being lazy and wanting links in a description box directly to the product. That's how people make money off of you using affiliate links, or people DMing creators to ask whether they can get information about brands and products. Google? Anyone? I mean, what do you think I do? Where do you think I find my information? Google is your best friend, so please use it. And if you are following someone and they say, okay, I have a blog, I have this, I have that, just go there and look for the thing yourself. You don't have to, but if you want to see a particular thing, I've got you there already. But I feature so many of my older products in videos all the time that it would just be a shame if I were to just be swatching everything all the time. And also, I've already mentioned it, I personally don't love single product reviews in video format. I don't want to sit through a 15 to 30 minute video just to see one product, which is why my videos are always about groups of products. I always group things together because the single reviews then go over on the blog. So for me, it all sort of works together, and I feel that, again, different content and on different platforms, and that also then aligns with, you know, how long my videos are, because I'm just here to have a good time and chat about makeup. So yes, my videos are chatty and long because of it. And then finally, another reason why it's going to be difficult for creators to be perfect is because there's you have these articles or message boards where people talk about, I dislike this about creators and this is what I expect them to do. And if you see those comments and you round it all up, it's such a double-edged sword. It's like, if you stop doing the things that people dislike about what creators do, then at the same time, you cannot live up to a lot of the expectations that people often have. So I just made a list of things here. So when you leave a comment like this, or if this is something you experience as a viewer, ask yourself why you are expecting a creator to do a certain thing, and whether that's a standard set by professional YouTubers, which is a standard you cannot apply to everyone on the platform, or if this is something that you are expecting for another reason, and just check in with yourself before you do that. So about this double standard, I just have a list here. I feel that on the one hand, creators need to be relatable, but at the same time, they also need to talk about new products. So people will ask me, can you review this? And I'm like, but people also really appreciate me for the fact that I go back to old things. So I cannot talk about all the new things if I also want to go back to old things. As a creator, you need to receive PR to talk about those new products, especially if you want your video to do well. We go back to the YouTube algorithm thing. But at the same time, getting a lot of free PR is the very thing that makes creators less relatable. Because if you suddenly get all of this free makeup, then you no longer know what the price of the makeup is. I know there's a couple of creators who've said, I'm going to stop receiving PR because of that, and I'm going to buy things myself again, which I think is a good thing. But it's sort of like, you want people to talk about new stuff, but at the same time, they also have to be like you, like a regular viewer, which you're not. If you're a creator, you're not a regular viewer. You're not a regular makeup consumer. Creators should be mindful of their spending and not push products down people's throats. That's what you see a lot. Like, oh, I just feel like I'm being marketed out all the time on certain channels. But at the same time, those very same viewers will ask you whether you can review a very specific product because you're the only review they trust. I'm like, so you're expecting me to go out and buy a product? But shouldn't I also mind my spending? Yeah, so it's, again, double standard, double-edged sword, like I mentioned. Creators are often demonized for having massive collections, but on the other hand, some people also expect creators to always talk about latest things, but also to know the differences between certain shades within the same collection, or for instance, to have a lot of information on dupes. If there are certain products, the amount of times that people have asked me for dupes for Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, within my own makeup collection, I cannot make it work. If I find one, it's by accident. But I'm not going to be trying tons of drugstore lipstick lines just to see if I can find a dupe for her lipsticks. I'm not about that life. Creators should show the product in close-ups, in consistent lighting, or in any other way, sort of make sure they present everything in the best way possible. But at the other end, when as a creator, your images or your videos feel too doctored, you will be knocked down a notch for that as well. In case you didn't know, any form of lighting you use, any camera a person uses, will alter the way a product looks. I have a challenge for you. If you're a viewer and you're not regularly taking pictures of makeup products, take your red lipstick, take a red lipstick, and take your phone camera and try to see, putting it in different positions in your house, what it looks like if you take a picture of it, whether it's on the windowsill, whether it's on a table, whether it's maybe on your vanity, in your bathroom with artificial lighting. It's going to make the lipstick look differently every single time, which is why sometimes you use studio lighting and you use filters and you use certain tools to try and get the product to look like as closely to what you see with the naked eye in real life. And that, I feel, is something that you just don't know in advance if someone is making a video, like how are their settings, and every camera is different. This camera that I'm filming on, I've had some comments that it looks like you've got no texture. Trust me, I have texture, but this camera I'm filming on smooths out my entire face. There's no filter on it. I'm filming this on my standard kit lens. I have no special equipment for it. I just have my window right there, no artificial lighting. And if you've ever wondered why there is a green cast to some of my videos, is because I have a really large tree outside of my house that sometimes when it's in full bloom, the light just reflects off it and all my videos have this green glow. I love it. So I think that if you were to try and do that, that you will start understanding why it's very difficult to sort of live up to those expectations. And then next to that, the device you watch on and the settings, the brightness settings of your screen are going to skew what the video will look like. So maybe turn down the brightness if you feel that something looks a little off focus. And precisely for this reason, I always rewatch my own YouTube videos on my phone just to see whether it all runs smoothly and it looks the way I had intended. Because what I see in the viewfinder isn't what I see when I edit the video, and it's not what I see when I watch a video on my smart TV, and it's not what I see when I watch it on my phone. It's very frustrating. And then the final 2 points here, on the one hand, I feel creators are encouraged to reuse what they have and go back to old products. It's what you hear a lot in comments all the time. But then when you do a video with that, there are just so few people end up watching those videos. So that's part of the frustration as well. And another thing that I see a lot, and this is something I get called out on as well, is that people want creators to have consistent opinions and know what they like, but we're people. We can change our mind. We can, if you ask me in a different opinion, like a different context, my opinion might be different from what I've told you in another video. So you may be watching a video back to back, but if I filmed that video 2-3 months before it, or sometimes weeks before it, it could be that my opinion has changed because I've used the product more or less, or maybe I end up decluttering it anyway. That doesn't make me or any other creators a hypocrite. It makes us human because human beings do this all the time. So I think there's a lot to say for how things are. I just think that the main message I want to send in this video as well, if you want creators to do something, then support the creators that do those things and watch those videos. Don't expect every single creator to be able to cater to your needs perfectly. Just search. If you really, I find most of my favorite small creators by watching their eyeshadow palette collection or declutters. That's how I personally find a ton of channels. Whenever there's a slow period on YouTube and I can't find a lot I want to watch, I just type in a couple of topics that I know I like to always watch, and I just start watching all the small creators. And another thing you can do is that when you find those channels, engage with them, leave comments. That kind of consistency is incredibly important for creators to get their stuff out there, which means they can keep creating good reviews. But ultimately, it's consistency that is not rewarded by algorithms, which is why I wanted to talk about the back end of YouTube in this video a little bit as well. The algorithm is only here to create as much hype as possible, to have videos go viral, because that's ultimately what makes people flock to YouTube, and that means they can sell more ads. So there's just so many factors here that the creator doesn't even influence of how YouTube works. And I think that that's why we need to be very careful here. Yes. So to sum up, I'm not here to do YouTube to perfection. I'm not here to grow the fastest. I know exactly what I need to do to create more growth, to create more traction and engagement. I would like to refer you here to a video Hyram did. I'm not sure if I can find it, but he mentioned how he pretty much had to give up his social life in order to grow on all his social media channels to the point where he was at a level where he felt he was comfortable to be able to make a living with it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up my social life. I have a life. And this hobby of mine, it's gotten a little out of hand, I'm not going to lie, but I don't want to do this at a job because I don't see myself getting fulfillment out of this the way I would from other things. This is just not my goal in life. This is not what I'm chasing. I'm here because I enjoy makeup. And if I can make a bit of money doing it, then fine. I'm happy with that. But I'm not going to move everything aside to become YouTube famous and to be a professional influencer. If that's the kind of content you want, there are so many other creators out there. If my content is not your cup of tea, you can leave and X out the video. That's all you need to do. Find someone else that you do like. I know very often the comments that you leave that are well meant and they're trying to be constructive criticism, but in the end, very often they are not. Because very often it's the people who only watch one of my videos, an account I've never even seen before, that leave a comment saying I should do things differently. And I'm like, but you don't even know what my content is all about if this is the only video you're watching. So I think that the videos I want to make are for the people who love my videos. So I know there's a ton of you that watch nearly everything I do, even the things that don't do well, but I'd much rather cater to those people than to create content for the masses and trying to appeal to everyone and anyone. That's just not what I'm about. And I see this every single time whenever I create a video with more traction. There's this new group of people that comes here who have never really seen anything else, and that's very often where the critique comes from. And then they say your content is bad, but all they've watched is one declutter, and then they expect the world. So my content is here for those people who enjoy it, and if that isn't you, let's part as friends. So that's where I would want to leave this video. These are all of my thoughts on this topic. Just be very mindful also in the comments again, what kind of comments you're gonna leave here. Don't go to other channels that I've mentioned here to start leaving comments as well. That's not helpful at all. But I just wanted to show a couple of examples of things that I have seen coming on, and I'm trying to put all of my thoughts together in one video, so I hope I managed to do that well enough. I know this was a long one, a very chatty one, but I hope that the ones who enjoy that kind of content were here for the full ride. And these videos usually maybe not do very well in terms of views, but in terms of generating content, comments and watch time, these are usually one of my best performing videos, just so you know. So I can see that on the back end. You can't. So thank you so very much for joining me today. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I do one of these tea time chats every single month, and I try to sort of talk about beauty content, the beauty community kind of things as well. I've got lots of other topics lined up for the next couple of months, but I do lots of other things as well. So definitely have a scroll through my channel to see what I'm all about. And then I would love for you to come back for more sometime, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.